morning, all. I am Bhuvneshwari from Computer Science Department, KP Siddhartha College. So today we are going to discuss about cloud-based services. So before getting into the topic, let us know what cloud computing is first. So for example, if you want to set up some startup company, so for that you need some networking devices, computing resources, storage devices, some servers in order to perform your company operations. So instead of spending money and time on setting all these services or resources physically, you can use all these services virtually. So cloud computing is one such technology which provides all these services to be accessible virtually. So we have different companies in the market who provides us with these cloud computing services, whom we call as service providers, and they typically charge for the cloud computing services that we have utilized. So grids and clusters are the foundations of cloud computing. We have different service cloud computing services in the market available. So we can see we have software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, anything and everything as a service, function as a service, a database as a service. We can have container as a service and all. So everything could be provided as a service by the cloud computing service providers, and we call these services sometimes as cloud computing stack. And all these services together satisfies the requirements and are helpful for different operations that need to be performed by different organizations and companies. So let us see the services one by one. So first is we have software as a service. So as the name itself represents that we are using software as a service. So here we are not focusing on the software and hardware management of the application. We are simply utilizing the end application or software as a services. So we can use SaaS application through the web browser, or you can install them using mobile devices or laptops and all. So most SaaS application they do not require any installations and downloads in order to use them, but some applications or some softwares may require some um, installation and downloading steps. So the SaaS applications are sometimes called as web-based software, on-demand software, or hosted software. So every service, whatever the service it is, like software infrastructure and whatever, everything comes with some advantages and disadvantages. So let us see the advantages of SaaS. So cost effective. That means, so for example, if you are using Netflix, for example, if it is if there is a plan like 199 for a month, so you can pay that 199 for a month and you can utilize the services throughout the month. That means you are paying for whatever the services you are using. So likewise, whatever the software you're using as a service, you can pay only for the services you have utilized. And next is reduce the time. So we have discussed that most SaaS applications they do not require any installation or downloading steps. You can simply use the web browser and you can access them directly. But some applications may require these steps. And next is accessibility. We can access the application data from anywhere. Next is automatic updates. Like here, we are not focusing on management of the application. We are simply using the end product or end application or software as a service. So all these updates and bug fixes, all these would be managed by the cloud provider itself. Next is scalability. So SaaS providers allows the users to access the services and features on demand, and that means we can use whatever the services we need based on our requirement. We have multiple companies offering SaaS as a service, like we have Microsoft, Salesforce, Dropbox, and all. Next, coming to disadvantages. So every service comes with some disadvantages and advantages. So main disadvantages of most of the services available in the market is limited customization and control over the data, because most of the so we are just using all these infrastructure, software or whatever as a service. So we do not have full time control, like full control over the softwares or the services we are using. So all these are maintained by the cloud providers. Because all these are maintained by the cloud providers, we have a limited control over the software over the services we are using. Next is dependency on the internet connectivity. So if you want to use any software or application through web browsers, you must need an internet connection. Next is security concerns. So we can see that some applications or softwares available in the market. In order to use them, you need to fill some basic details in order to use the application. So whatever the data you are filling out there, we don't know where the data has been stored and who is using that application. And also, cloud provider will have the access to the data you have given there. So sometimes it may raise a security concerns. And next, we have limited control over the data because everything is managed by the cloud provider itself. Next is platform as a service. So, for example, if you want to install or if you want to develop or build an application and services over the internet, so you need some platform. So, platform as a service does the exact thing. That means it provides a platform and environment to allow different developers to build their applications over the internet. So a PaaS provider hosts the hardware and software on its own infrastructure. That means we don't have to manage the hardware and software resources, or the we don't have to worry about those things. We can simply focus on building the application, deploying it, and testing the application and all. That means the platform is already provided by the PaaS provider. Simply we can focus on building the application. So that is why it is independent of the hardware. For example, here, if you want to understand this platform as a service clearly, we can take this example of annual day function. For example, if you are going to hold any event, you can simply rent a function or venue, or you can create a venue, or you can rent a venue. But whatever you do, the function is same. So instead of creating a venue, you can simply rent a venue. Likewise, if you want to build an application, you don't have to set up the platform. You can simply use the platform that is already provided by the platform service providers. So that is what platform as a service is. Next, like we have different. That means we have different platforms in the market. Like development tools can be a platform, middlewares can be a platform. Sometimes database creation services can be a platform service, or it can be application hosting, APS. All these are a platform services that could be provided to the customers by the cloud providers. Next, advantages of password be it is simply and simple and convenient for the users because you can mainly focus on building the application rather than worrying about the software and hardware management. And it is also cost effective. You can pay as per the usage. Like mean whatever you have utilized, you can pay for only that. So efficiently managing the life cycle. So here you're solely focusing on building the application. So you're developing the application, testing the application, updating it, managing, deploying, and all. So, because you're only focusing on that application, the efficiency of the model would also, or the application would also increase. Next, so as we have discussed in SaaS, we have only limited control over the infrastructure because everything is mostly managed by the cloud provider itself. And next, limited flexibility. We cannot always accommodate certain types of workloads or applications, which can limit the value of solution for certain organizations. Next is infrastructure as a service. So, infrastructure is a service model that delivers computer infrastructure and on an outsourced basis to support various operations. That means infrastructure could be anything. Like it can be a networking equipment, devices, databases, web servers. That means here we are providing hardware as a service. So so infrastructure is also called as hardware as a service. So in this also, users or customers can pay based on the uh, services, like based on the usage they have uh, used the services. So we have like infrastructure could be like virtual machines, it could be storage, networking devices for firewalls, automation tools, security and compliance. All this could be provided as an infrastructure as a service. So cost effective. So most of the services are cost effective because we can pay for the pay. It is based on pay per uses. And next is website hosting. So based on all, by utilizing all these infrastructures, you can perform website hosting, it provides security and the maintenance and all. So we have different companies offering infrastructure as a service like Amazon Web Services, BlueStack, IBM, VMware and all. So disadvantages of ours could be limited control and most of the services they may raise security concerns because our data is handled by the cloud providers. So and also we have limited access to the content. Next, coming to anything as a service, so we can provide anything or everything as a service. That means we can provide above all the infrastructure, SaaS, PaaS, and all as a service, or you can provide database as a service, storage as a service, files as a service, or you can provide container as a service, all this. So database as a service, all this. So everything could be provided as a service to the customers. So advantages could be like scalability. So based on our requirements, the user can scale up or uh, down the changes and he can satisfy their requirements or the organization requirements. Next we have flexibility, like we can use the storage databases and networking resources based on our needs, and cost effectiveness, because most of the services are based on paper usage, it is cost effective. So disadvantages could be dependencies on the provider because everything is managed by them, and we have limited flexibility and limited integration. Next, coming to function as a service, it is also a type of cloud computing services which is same as platform as a service. So, without having to worrying about the maintenance of the underlying infrastructure, you can focus on mainly running the application, uh, writing the code, deploying the code, and all. But both the function as a service and platform as a service mainly provide infrastructure as a service, but uh, f- what is the difference is that fast provides auto scaling up and scaling down depending upon the demand, but coming to pass the user need to configure the scaling parameter depending upon the demand. And next, in fast, users only have to pay for the number of execution time happen. That means if you're building any application, you can pay for the times of executions that you have done to the code. In past, users have to pay for the amount based on pay as you go price, regardless how much or less they use. For example, uh, if you're using or if you're on a service for an hour, even if you have used 10 minutes of that 1 hour, you need to pay for the whole 1 hour. So regardless of how much or less they use, you need to pay for the services you have used in past. So these are all the different types of service models or services we have in the market. Thank you.